Welcome into Full Sail Live. My name is Luke McDonald, and I am joined by the Professional Fighters League Russian Translator and a fighter concierge, Alex Lisitsyn.
How are you, Luke? Nice to see you.
Doing great, doing great. COVID started in 2020, and everyone goes into lockdown. How did you find out that you were going to be in the bubble in Atlantic City?
Well, when we started this season, yeah, there was weird times. Well, first of all, we had to skip the previous season, right? That was 2020. Once everything started opening up in 2021, that's when, yeah, we were, given the packages, and obviously the PFL team and everybody took really a great approach in a sense, make sure no fighters get affected or, team members. When the whole situation went down in the springtime, they gave us very hard and strict regulations that eventually helped us to have successful season.
Wow. What was some of the most strenuous restrictions?
To the point where nobody could leave the premises. We're talking about all of us staying there for weeks, people not getting haircuts. We had the system of a red bubble, blue bubble, where some people could go outside and kind of run errands for us, and then in a safe manner to pass things to us while we were in the red bubble.
Wow. What was it like working with the fighters during that time?
Amazing. You get to see all the insides, all the prep, all the weight cutting preparations, their diet, and you build a special bond, that kind of friendship that normally you don't get to do during the regular seasons, because you don't get to spend time with them. Here you're kind of locked in. So whether you want it or not, you get to know each other a little bit closer and a little bit better.
Well, if you're just now joining us, I'm Luke McDonald with Alex Lisitsyn. Not only is he a Russian translator, he's also a fighter concierge, which means he does way more than just translate for fighters. And he spent a lot of time with them during the bubble. And I wanted to ask, how did your relationship with the fighters compare before versus after going into the bubble?
You do really get to know them better. You build a bond. To the point where with some fighters we get to discuss, hey, what's the latest crypto trending, and like what are you investing and stuff like that. So you do develop a certain, like, beyond just professional, more like personal in a good way. And again, it doesn't have to be just Russian speaking. I've been dealing with some English speaking fighters. Brendan Laflane, for example, a great guy.
How do you think that translating for fighters affects your relationship with them versus fighters like Brendan, who you don't need to translate for?
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for some of the guys that they don't really get to express themselves fully, and so their personality kind of stays behind. And in that sense, like for example, working with Magomed Karimov, one of our champs, and with Movlid, sometimes people ask me, and they're like, "Oh, how are the guys and behind the camera?" And I like, listen, they're great. They have sense of humor, and like, yes, this guy, this person, like, I'm scared of him. I was like, no, like they're really people just like us. It's just sometimes they have to put up the mask and be all serious. But you'd be surprised that sometimes they really come up with funny jokes and crack you, and you're like, okay. So I'm really feeling bad that sometimes uh, the audience or the people, the fans, don't get fully experience the depth of their personality.
Yeah, I remember actually from the championship night I was taking pictures, and it was my first time like, yeah, having any interaction with Magomed, and he was just kind of warming up in their back room, and I stepped in to take a picture, and like he got so excited. He's like, "Yes, yes, come take pictures."
Right, and you
Like
probably didn't know how to react.
he
How
was
to
like
react, yeah.
he was rolling around like doing a little bit of jujitsu and some wrestling stuff, and I was just like, heck yeah, this is awesome, because you do see them as such killers. You see them as killers, as like
Right.
almost people to be feared, and they have fun as
Because
well.
that's how you know them first. That's their first role in your life, and then you're like, oh, but then they have this and they have that, and then you get to learn about their family and just how they treat each other. Again, if you take Dagestani guys, like all the wrestlers coming from that region, they're very they care for each other. It's like a brotherhood. They, if somebody's in trouble, if somebody needs something, if somebody, needs equipment or help or training, they always work together as a team. They always support each other. While sometimes you see some camps kind of keep it private and separate, they always interact. There is like whole community. And again, in that sense, I really kind of changed my opinion on them. Again, I'm from that region, so I knew the culture, but here I kind of, I guess, I forgot about it, and I got to appreciate seeing them training together and doing weight cut together. So it's really like brotherhood spirit amongst them. They always help each other.
So you kind of mentioned though, like the having kind of that shift in perspective after seeing them interact and being so kind of like closely knit and being so kind of like open to share. Before you got to work with them, like from a thought process on Dagestani people or
Right.
Dagestani fighters, what was your opinion of that?
Well, I know that obviously they're dominant, and I know that there is a great school. Again, those people, they come oftentimes from really poor upbringing, and the region itself. I mean, now it's picking up, obviously, but overall it's kind of rural, mountain-like region, and people get to go and through hardship, and that's why they become who they are. Going through all this hardship, grinding day after day, training week after week, not skipping, and you don't get really to enjoy those things that distract us, like maybe spas and all kind of entertainment. So the hard life, makes strong people.
And I want to go to the championship night.
Okay.
You spent this whole year. Part of it was in lockdown. Then it was in COVID restrictions. You've been translating for the fighters, and Magomed Kirimov loses. What was that like for you?
So it was painful, and as a part of my translation job, that's why I also appreciate and like it. I get to go and see backstage with them, right? So immediately after the fight, they get to go get medical clearance and all that stuff, and being there with them, or in this case with him, after loss, it's you kind of have to take those emotions in for him, because when you're talking, and so I'm their voice and kind of I'm their emotions in that sense. So that was not easy, not easy. He even made a joke. He goes like, "Hey Alex, why didn't you tell me what I should do when we were there? You could have helped me win." I was like, "Yeah, well, unfortunately, that's not my part of the job." Even though he lost and he was very upset, obviously he still cracked the joke. That I remember that. Yeah.
And you wrapped up this last season. You're leading into the 2022 season, but
Right.
how are you going to look back on that time? Even from the bubble to the championship.
Miss. We're definitely gonna miss. We already discussed it last year with all the PFL staff. Because again, another good aspect of the bubble, in a way, was that we were interacting, people from different departments, like our IT department, our marketing department. While normally you barely get to, kind of run around and say hi and bye and do all that stuff during the bubble. Again, not only with fighters, but among the staff and commentators. Everybody built like a really good relationship. And I remember like we were in Atlantic City when we had the championship, and then we were in Florida, and we were thinking like, yeah, guys, we're gonna miss that the fact that we get to spend time. It was like a little PFL family, doing. It's still happening, obviously, but not on the bubble scale. So in that sense, the bubble times they were great, and we're gonna miss that part. But again, I'm not saying that I want another pandemic, so I'm plenty full with this one.
No more pandemics. Well, Alex,
Yeah,
thank you so much for joining us and sharing your experience of being a translator and also a fighter concierge, and kind of like the intricacies and the emotions around that.
thank you for the opportunity, Luke. Keep doing your stuff. I'm a fan. Again, I'm looking forward, and I'll check some of your interviews with other people as well.
Appreciate it. For Full Sail Live, I'm Luke McDonald. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.